Okay, so the time has come for your glucose challenge test, and you are wondering, what is this? What am I signed up for? What should I expect? Maybe you're probably between 24 and 28 weeks, and it's coming time for that visit. And so today we're going to dive into what is the glucose challenge test, what is gestational diabetes, and what are your choices. My name is Leslie. Thanks for coming back to my channel. This is where I share about birth, faith, and family. I am a disciple, wife, mom, and childbirth doula, and today we will be diving into all things gestational diabetes. So tune in. Okay, diving right in, we're going to start off with what is gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes is when you have high blood sugar levels to the point of being considered diabetic during your pregnancy. This goes away after pregnancy, and this is common in about 10% of women in the US annually. So, the way that this kind of works is that normally when you eat, your pancreas produces insulin, and insulin, it helps to move glucose from your blood into your cells so that it can be used for energy. Now, what happens during pregnancy is that your placenta produces a hormone that helps glucose build up in your blood. And normally what happens is that the pancreas produces enough insulin to just kind of balance that out. However, if the pancreas isn't able to produce enough insulin to counter that, or insulin isn't working as it should, you develop high blood sugar levels and subsequently gestational diabetes. Now, there are two ways to treat this depending on which type you have. So A1, gestational diabetes, can be treated with just a change in diet and exercise. And so your prenatal care provider will advise you on what things are best to eat and what exercises you should be doing to maintain active, to kind of help regulate your blood sugar levels because of your gestational diabetes. Now, if you have A2, then the management of that would be through insulin or other medications. So those are the two treatments to gestational diabetes. Now, what are the concerns? What are the things that could happen, and why do we pay such close attention to gestational diabetes clients? Because they could lead to complications in terms of things for baby and for labor and all of that stuff. So, for example, preterm labor chances go up, as well as chances of high blood pressure, preeclampsia, all of those things. A prenatal care provider will pay more attention to in patients that have gestational diabetes to make sure that it doesn't lead to any of those things, right? And so diet is important regardless when you are pregnant, but especially if you have gestational diabetes. Now, babies born to diabetic moms have higher likelihood of developing chronic health issues later on in life, as well as the moms have a 50% chance of becoming type 2 diabetic later on in life. So those are the kinds of things that are associated with gestational diabetes. Now, how do they test for this, right? We're going to dive into how they test. So it's a two-part test. If you pass the first one, you don't have to take the second one. That's how it works. So you've got the glucose challenge test first. If your blood sugar levels come back normal after that test, then you don't have to take. That's a 1-hour test, non-fasted. But if you pass that, then you don't have to take the second one, which is the glucose tolerance 3-hour test. Okay? So how exactly does this work? Well, the most common way that this test is actually done is that you are given a 50-gram beverage of sugar polymer. It's this orange syrupy drink. It's called Glucola, and they give this to you between 24 to 28 weeks, normally towards the end of that, maybe more like 26, 28 weeks. And essentially you drink that, and then an hour later they draw your blood to measure blood sugar, and then depending on where it is, you either pass and are all set, cleared, or if you get or if they find that your blood sugar levels are too high, then they move you on to the second test. Now, the second test is called the glucose tolerance test. This is where you take more of the Glucola, and after being fasted, and you have to take it for, then 3 hours later, they go ahead and check your blood sugar level to see how you do. Now, the reason they have you do the second one is actually because with this test, with Glucola, there's actually quite a high percentage of false positives the first time around. And so just because you tested positive for your glucose challenge test does not mean you have gestational diabetes. You really should wait till the second test to get an accurate picture on that. Now, this drink is considered harmless. This is what we've been using for a really long time, but I like to just make sure that you're informed about what exactly is in this drink so that you can make the best decision for yourself, right? The acronym we like to talk about when it comes to choices is called using your brain. So knowing for whatever option whatever you have before you, you should know the benefits, you should know the risks, the alternatives, what your intuition says about it, and the N is for either doing nothing, or maybe doing something not now. Can you hold off? Is that an option? So that's what the BRAIN acronym stands for. So you'll hear me reference that a couple times, but first off, so that's why I want to share with you guys what's actually in this drink so that you know what it is that you're putting inside your body. So I've got a list of a couple things. So the number one ingredient I want to talk to you that is found in Glucola is called BVO, brominated vegetable oil. This is actually a product that got moved off of the generally safe list from the FDA's in the 70s. It got moved over to an interim status where it can be used as a food additive. It's in some soft drinks. It's patented as a flame retardant, and it's used to actually keep the flavoring of the drink from floating to the top. And it's honestly, it's restricted in all foods in Europe and Japan. But here in America, we give it to all pregnant women during their pregnancy. So yeah, just something for you to know. BVO contains bromine. And bromine is known to be associated with affecting thyroid function. It is actually, it can build up pretty easily in your body and your breast milk. It's associated with heart lesions, fatty changes in the liver, impaired growth and behavioral development. It's actually been known in animal and human studies to be linked to neurological problems, fertility problems, changes in thyroid hormones, and precocious puberty. So just to name a few. So this is what's associated with BVO. Now, a couple of other ingredients just to mention. I'm not going to name them all, but I have them listed here on a piece of paper, and I'm happy to share this. If anyone wants it, just leave a comment down and I'll share this. But also included in this drink is yellow number 6. This is a chemical linked to adrenal tumors in animals. Red number 40 is studies show that it can accelerate your immune system tumors specifically in mice. And it can also have allergy-like reactions in some consumers. Also included in this drink is D-glucose derived from conventional corn, which is actually no longer considered a food. It's actually labeled as a pesticide, categorized as a pesticide. So that's included in this as well, along with a couple of other ingredients. I'm happy to share those if you guys want more details on what's included in that drink, but just to give you an idea of what's included. Now, you might be saying, great, Leslie, you've told me all this information. Now, what about alternatives, right? We talked about the benefits. The benefits to this, obviously, is using it for this exam to determine if you have gestational diabetes, which is important for your doctors to know because it will help with how you move forward in your pregnancy and just to help prepare for a safe delivery for you and your child, right? So there's the benefit. The risks, well, it has these chemicals in them. And so knowing what these chemicals cause and what things are associated with it can help you figure out what you might think the risks are to taking that for yourself. And then what are the alternatives? Well, we're going on to alternatives now. The alternatives that you can do is that some people do a hemoglobin A1C blood test in your first or early in your second trimester. This will essentially help you to see if you have diabetes in advance. And so that is an option. Also, you have the ability to do alternative kind of tests. There is, some people have spoken about a jelly bean test, or an alternative with your provider. Now, I will just say, my midwife provided me with an alternative. I used Welch's 100% grape juice, which is also gross, but it doesn't have BVO. And I did my test with that. And I mean, it was gross because it's super sugary. It's still a lot of sugar that you're consuming in a very short amount of time to then test an hour later to see where your levels are, right? Then there's also, I wanted to tell you about a couple of other alternatives that I found. So the Fresh test is a product that has actually been used and tested, and they even have a white paper out. I will link it below on how they compare to Glucola and things like that. They did a small study to kind of just see, did the moms have side effects? The thing with Glucola is that women do say that they do have common side effects like nausea, vomiting, bloating, diarrhea. These are common side effects with Glucola. And so in improving the experience for moms who have to go through this test, the Fresh test is this organic product that's all natural, no preservatives, that was created to essentially compete with Glucola. And so it has actually been found to have less false positives, according to their small study. But again, worth checking out. So I will link them below if that's something you're interested in. And then also alternativeglucosema.com. They do kind of like another derivative of it. Now this is specific to the area, so I'm pretty sure she only can ship to certain areas in the East Coast. But this is like a mint lemonade powder. It's only $29. It's organic. There's no toxins. This is actually a product that clients of mine have used, and they said it was actually delicious. And so there's the option for that. So I will link those down below so that you have some alternatives so you can check out and see if your provider is willing to let you try it with this alternative. Now, what my clients have done is that they've gone and purchased it and then brought it to their provider and done the test with their provider, just as they would have done with the Glucola, but using this alternative. Now, that is it for gestational diabetes and this testing. I am wishing you all the best, praying for your health and safe delivery of your child into this world, but I'm hoping you the best during your pregnancy. And I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any questions, any follow-up questions, or you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know. Give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get alerted every time I put out a new video, and I will see you in the next one. God bless you.